Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now Anthony Joshua has given us an update on his knee injury. Obviously we saw him walking around with that knee brace on. It was just a precaution, and now he has said that he is fully fit and that injury has fully recovered. This is what he had to say. The knee is in good shape and it is as good as it can be. I am in full training. I didn't even stop training even when I had the knee. I'm sure many on social media followers saw me hitting the heavy bag, sat down. I'm standing up now. So there we go, that is what Anthony Joshua has had to say about his injury and his recovery and starting training again. Obviously we did see him sat down hitting the heavy bag and he has been continuously training. Anthony Joshua always does. Whether he is in camp, out of camp, he's always constantly training because he is so committed to the sport. But now he says he's back in full training. Does that mean training camp? Maybe. Maybe it means he's just gearing up for a training camp for Kubrat Pulev. Now, I've said previously before in videos that as soon as Anthony Joshua starts his training camp, we then know that we are 12 weeks away from the fight. So that means that the fight could happen late October, maybe early November, which I think is a positive move because if he waits till December, that will be a full year that he has been out of the ring. And I mean, that's not a bad thing, but still, inactivity is not great for a boxer, especially at the level of Anthony Joshua. He has not fought since the 7th of December 2019, and it will likely be 11 months by the time he gets back into the ring. So it is positive that he's back training. It is positive that we could soon get a date and venue for Kubrat Pulev. Now I know it may seem like it's a good idea when you have an injury just to completely stop and allow the injury to heal, then get back to training, but that's probably not a good idea because if you allow that injury to heal, then it heals not weaker, but there's always going to be a weakness there. The injury will often reoccur or happen again. So the best thing to do is to keep it moving, to allow it to heal stronger. I know that sounds crazy, but it genuinely does work. If you keep it moving, then it allows it to heal stronger than it would do if you just stopped and rest completely. So it is probably a good idea that Anthony Joshua has continuously been training despite that injury. Obviously, it hasn't been really intense training. It's not going to be. It was mostly just like hitting the bag sat down, working on the bike as well. Just simple training methods to keep the body moving. Now he is able to get back to full training and get ready for Kubrat Pulev. Now, there is no date and venue for that fight just yet, but as I said previously, I'm guessing it's going to be pretty soon that we will get a date and venue because they likely know when it's going to be. They likely have already chosen the venue, but we're just not going to find out until a later date, maybe a couple of weeks, because if it is going to happen in October, November, then they are likely going to tell us in August sort of time, maybe mid-August, maybe even earlier, hopefully earlier, because we do want to know. We want to know when this fight will happen, whether there will be a crowd there. Will there be a crowd there? We don't know just yet. They want to do a crowd because the live gate is obviously going to generate a good amount of revenue, so they're not going to want to miss out on a live gate. But I believe that if they have to, then that's what they're going to have to do. I don't believe it's a good idea for Anthony Joshua to remain inactive, just waiting for there to be a crowd there. He could be waiting a long time. We don't know what is going to happen at the moment. We are not allowed crowds. We have to assume that maybe in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months time, we still won't be having crowds. I hope that's not the case, but it could be. So I believe what they will do is put a plan into place where the fight will go ahead regardless of what happens with there being a live crowd or not. There were talks of it being on a boat, but I mean, that's just hearsay. That's not going to happen, I don't believe anyway. But Eddie Hearn said he is exploring quirky and different ways to stage these fights considering the current climate. And that is interesting, but I don't know what he really means by that, whether he means that put it on a boat. He did say that, but I don't think it will be on a boat. I'm guessing it's not going to be, but there are new ways being explored for this fight to be staged. It's just when and where. I mean, they did say about the O2 maybe having as little as 2,000 people in there. Obviously, the tickets would be quite expensive because they're trying to make up for what would normally be 70, 80,000 people attending an Anthony Joshua fight. So they're going to try and make a bit of money off the live gate. That's the whole point of having them there, other than obviously the atmosphere of having a crowd. But still, that is the main reason why they would want to have a crowd there, is obviously they're trying to make up money on the live gate, meaning that if they can only have 2,000 people there, the tickets are going to be very expensive. But I guess the positive thing for now is that Anthony Joshua is back in training camp getting ready for this Kubrat Pulev fight. That could happen October, November, December, we don't know at the moment. Likely it will happen before Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3, which works great for AJ, I believe. Having that psychological advantage of not having to fight just after them, which he seems to have to do a lot, because obviously Deontay Wilder fights 2 weeks before Anthony Joshua because the buzz is huge for a heavyweight bout. So when else is he going to be able to sell a fight better than fighting just before Anthony Joshua? So that's kind of what Deontay Wilder has done. Tyson Fury not so much, but still, Deontay Wilder has continuously done that over the past 1 or 2 years. So Anthony Joshua will not have to contend with that sort of psychological thing of knowing what's happened between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Because if Tyson Fury wins, Anthony Joshua is going to think, I want to get in with Tyson Fury. I want that undisputed fight. Then he might take his eye off Kubrat Pulev. So Anthony Joshua, the best thing for him is to get his fight done, sorted, and have Kubrat Pulev dealt with so that AJ can then move on and watch Undisputed and not have to worry about gearing up for his fight and being distracted by what happens in a Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder fight. Now, considering Anthony Joshua has begun training camp or training more vigorously for the Pulev fight, he is looking bigger and thicker than he was in the Andy Ruiz Jr. rematch. And I believe that's just down to, obviously, Kubrat Pulev being a different opponent to Andy Ruiz Jr. Against Ruiz, he had a game plan that required him to be lighter on his feet in order to maneuver around the ring, use his feet, use his speed in the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. Whereas Kubrat Pulev isn't going to be someone that is going to be moving faster than AJ. He has slower hands, not as powerful as AJ, doesn't move as well either. So Anthony Joshua has Kubrat Pulev in every single aspect, but still Kubrat Pulev is a live opponent. Kubrat Pulev wants to win this because this is his last opportunity. So Anthony Joshua has a tough fight in Kubrat Pulev. No looking past him. He's going to be a tough fight. No matter what he's done previously, obviously the Vladimir Klitschko fight comes to mind where he came unstuck. He kind of unraveled in that fight. But against Anthony Joshua, he's a bit more experienced now. He's not as young as he was then, but still, that experience, I believe, will go a long way for Kubrat Pulev. But still, Anthony Joshua, I believe, will be too big, too strong, too powerful, and ultimately too skillful for Kubrat Pulev. And I believe that it will be a completely different fight to the rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr. Obviously, it's going to be because Kubrat Pulev brings different attributes and different skills to the table to Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, I do believe that Anthony Joshua is going to go in there and maybe look for a stoppage, a finish, but I believe that it will be more educated than it was, say, on June 1st, because he wanted to make a statement then, and it didn't work. But against Kubrat Pulev, I believe that he will want to make a statement, but I don't believe he will be as reckless as he was before. It will be calm, educated pressure. And I believe that Kubrat Pulev will find himself walking onto shots. I think that's what Anthony Joshua will do, is walk Kubrat Pulev onto shots, because Pulev does often come over his front foot, and when he does, he falls in and tries to grab his opponent and tie them up. Anthony Joshua will be bigger and stronger than Pulev, and Anthony Joshua works better on the inside. So I can just see Kubrat Pulev trying to rush in and being caught with maybe an uppercut, maybe a check hook as he comes in. I believe that Anthony Joshua will work on maybe walking Kubrat Pulev onto shots, maybe slipping the jab or maybe even pulling the jab, and then just countering Kubrat Pulev. I definitely believe that Anthony Joshua will be holding his feet and holding his position a lot more in this fight as opposed to the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. He isn't going on the back foot against Kubrat Pulev like he done against Andy Ruiz Jr. In this fight, he will hold his feet a lot more. He will trade a lot more. And, I mean, he's clever enough to do it. He's a good enough fighter as well as a good enough boxer to do it. Obviously, though, it's going to be educated. It's not going to be recklessness because this is a world title fight. Kubrat Pulev, let's remember, is a good fighter, a good amateur and a good pro. So this is going to be a tough fight for Anthony Joshua, but he should realistically be beating Kubrat Pulev, and I believe he will. It's all about levels, and I believe that Anthony Joshua is just one level ahead of Kubrat Pulev. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua gearing up for a training camp for Kubrat Pulev? When do you believe this fight will be? Where do you believe this fight will be? And hopefully it will be before Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder and before December 7th, meaning that Anthony Joshua is not out of the ring for a full year. Anyway, guys, drop your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.